Today's lesson is called Science Says What? Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
And my name is Helen.
Everyone, if I weren't using my radio voice or my podcast voice, I probably would have read this title with a little bit more emotion and feeling. What I really want to say is, Science says what? I.e., here I'm totally surprised in this particular situation. Yeah, science is pretty cool. Science says a lot of cool stuff. Usually science says only factual and truthful stuff. But here, we're being totally surprised by what science is saying. So that's why we have this title. Science says what? By the way, that's a question and an exclamation point. You have to find a way to somehow to get both of those emotions through. Yes, you are asking a question, and you're also feigning surprise. That's where the exclamation point is coming from. Put them together, and you have something like, Science says what?
That's right. That's a very good way to read that title, and it's because we're not talking about science per se here. We're talking about what is being said about science. So we're not talking about the world of science, but rather how science is reported to the general public, because the only way that we can know about what scientists are doing in the laboratories, in universities, and research centers is through reports by people who write about new developments in the world of science. And when we read them, we have to be a little bit careful about what is being reported. And that's why we have this particular title for this article.
Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with our lesson. When we come back, we'll start reading from this article titled, Science Says What?
Science says what? Science says singing makes you live longer. You read this headline on your social media feed and, without much thought, share the link with your friends and then continue scrolling. Does this sound familiar? If so, it's because the internet drowns us in so much news that we hardly have time to read beyond the headlines. But what if we actually dug deeper and read the studies behind the catchy titles? More often than not, we'd find huge gaps in information.
大家好，第一部分我们看到名词 headline 指报纸的标题、电视新闻提要。例如 All of the headlines these days are about the movie star's wedding. 近来所有报纸的头条新闻都跟那个电影明星的婚礼有关。另外补充一个相关片语，可以用 make or hit or grab news headlines 来指成为头条新闻。注意这里的 headlines 横为复数，我们可以说 The bad economy made the headlines in every major newspaper this week. 经济惨状登上了这星期各大报章的头条。再来，我们看到一个动词 scroll 有滚动、滑动、网站页面或文件的意思，像是 If you scroll down to the bottom of the web page, you'll see our company's address. 如果你滑到网页最下方，就能看见我们公司的地址。另外 scroll 也可以是名词，用来指卷轴、画卷。我们可以说 An ancient Chinese scroll is hung on the wall of our living room. 我家客厅的墙面上挂了一幅中国古代画卷。接着我们看到片语 more often than not 指往往、多半或经常。举例来说We should get a seat at the restaurant because more often than not, it is empty before 7 o'clock. 我们应该可以在那间餐厅找到位子，因为7点以前通常没什么人。另外，补充一个相关的片语 as often as not 来指往往、通常。我们可以说 As often as not, Brian's plans always go wrong. 通常 Brian 的计划都会出错。
And welcome back. Let's get right into our article. And the article begins with a statement in quotations. The statement is, Science says singing makes you live longer. So the second sentence goes, you read this headline on your social media feed and without much thought, share the link with your friends, and then continue scrolling. So let's pretend you read this headline, you come across this headline, which is the title of a newspaper story or just the title of a news article, and you come across it in your social media feed. So that could be Facebook, or it could be Twitter, it could be any social media website that has a list of posts, list of information that appear on your screen. And without thinking about it much, you read this headline and you think, oh, that's interesting. And you share the link with your friends and then continue scrolling. That is, you continue to go up and down on your social media feed. You go down and you read the next post that's on your feed.
Yeah, let's say you've got a Facebook feed and you want to see what your friends are doing. Okay, you might scroll through your home page there to see what is going on with your friends, what they've posted, so on and so forth. Now, I'm not a big Facebook guy, but I am a big news guy. I like to go and get my news on the internet. I'll go to Google News, and yes, there's a lot of news to be had, so I scroll through the news on that site. And if I find an article that I like, I click on that and I read further. But one thing I try not to do is to click on things called clickbait. Okay, clickbait. That's going to be something that, yes, you read it and you want to click on it. And very often, headlines like this, science says singing makes you live longer, it's clickbait. Because you want this to be true. Let's say you like singing. You think, wow, science says that if I sing, I'm going to live longer. I might never die. Yeah, you're going to click on that because you want this to be true. So you click on it and you read the article that comes after. But remember, this is clickbait, okay? People are trying to get you to click on something. That'll get them ad revenue. It'll show advertisers that you've got a lot of traffic on their sites and stuff like that. So yes, they do kind of construct these false headlines that say things like, science says singing makes you live longer. They know that people who like singing, let's say, are going to click on this headline, even though what they're saying in this particular article and in this headline is potentially misleading.
That's right. And a lot of these headlines are health related. So you might come across headlines like, eating chocolate can help you lose weight, or drinking wine prevents heart disease, or something really drastic and exaggerated, perhaps, like sugar causes cancer. Now, it's good if we can look at these headlines and think, I want to know more, and click on it, and then read the actual article. And when we do, we often find that the article doesn't really reflect the headline. The headline, as Jeff said, are clickbaits. They want us to click on it. But it's worse when sometimes, because we're presented with so many news items on the internet in our news feed or Facebook feed, that we don't even bother clicking on these headlines. We just read the headlines and assume, okay, we can trust it because it's a piece of news coming from a news source, and you just take the headline's word. You believe what the headline says, and maybe you think, oh, okay, I should eat more chocolate from now on. And maybe you share this headline. You share the link with other people and they read it, they do the same. And then pretty soon this one headline gets shared to hundreds of people, and hundreds or maybe thousands of people are misled by this headline.
Anyways, let's go ahead and move on, okay? You go ahead and click that clickbait, and then you go ahead and you share the link, so on and so forth. Now, is what you just read, okay, does it actually make sense? Or have you done this before? Does this sound familiar? Well, if so, it's because the internet drowns us in so much news that we hardly have time to read beyond the headlines. This is true, and yes, in the internet age, often these headlines aren't particularly good headlines either. There's a lot of clickbait out there. So for one reason or another, okay, we come across headlines all the time. Some of them are clickbait. And there's also this situation where there's so much information that we no longer even read past the headlines themselves. Yes, the internet drowns us in so much news that we just don't read beyond the headlines anymore. We just scroll from the top to the bottom of the page. But what if we actually dug deeper and read the studies behind the catchy titles. Yeah, what if we actually did some research? What if we read the studies behind the catchy titles, behind the content in that clickbait type article? What would happen then?
Well, if we actually read the article that the headline is referring to, more often than not, we'd find huge gaps in information. So if we were to read the articles, then more often than not, that is usually in most situations, if we did it 10 times, it would be more than 5 times, we would find huge gaps in information. So there is a gap or a distance between what the headline claims and the actual content of the article.
Clickbait is the worst. Well, clickbait and also the way we consume news on the internet, both of these could be improved upon drastically. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a short break, but when we come back, we'll learn some more about problems in headlines.
To see what these gaps might be, let's pretend the above headline is based on an actual study. The study, conducted last year, had 46 female participants between the ages of 55 and 75. Of the 46, 23 were told to sing for 10 minutes each day, while the other 23 were given daily doses of a placebo. At the end of the 3-month study, the participants who sang for 10 minutes a day showed lower blood pressure levels. The women in the control group, however, did not.
第二部分，我们看到一个动词 conduct， 指进行、实施。例如 After the doctor conducted the test on his patient, he had to wait a week to get the result. 医生在他病人身上进行检查后，必须等1个礼拜才能拿到结果。另外补充相关片语 conduct oneself 用来指表现、举止。我们可以说 My mother used to teach me how to conduct myself at the dinner table. 妈妈过去时常教导我如何在餐桌上表现合宜。再来我们看到一个单字 participant， 这个字是名词，指参与者、参加者。举例来说All contest participants should report to the sign-in desk upon arrival. 所有参赛者抵达时必须去签到台报到。另外补充一个相关片语 participate in， 指参加、参与活动等。例如 All of the students are welcome to participate in this year's Halloween party. 所有学生都受邀参加今年的万圣节派对。接下来我们看到一个单字 placebo，这个字是名词，有安慰剂的意思。例如 The patient was given a placebo to help her feel better. 病人服用了安慰剂，好帮助她缓和下来。
And welcome back. So in the previous section, we said that we could probably find huge gaps in information if we were to look beyond the headlines and actually read the articles that the headlines were about. So here we're going to look at some of these gaps. And we're going to go back to the headline that we read in the previous, at the start of this part of the article, which was Science Says Singing Makes You Live Longer. So let's pretend that this headline is based on an actual study.
Yeah, let's actually pretend, because I think we're going to have to pretend, because this title, this headline, I should say, does sound very clickbaity, because science does not say things like singing makes you live longer, okay? Science says things very specifically, and usually some numbers are involved. Anyway, speaking of numbers, let's go ahead and try to pretend, okay? Let's pretend the above headline is based on an actual study, okay? The study, conducted last year, let's say, had 46 female participants between the ages of 55 and 75. By the way, this is starting to sound good. Notice that we have numbers. We're talking about things very specifically. We are quantifying things. By the way, if you conduct a study, let's say, you hold that study. Very often when people talk about conducting studies, yeah, they're the scientists who hold this study, okay? They put it on and they want to experiment on people. That's what conducting a study is all about.
That's right. So they conducted a study with 46 female participants. Now, a participant is basically someone who takes part in an activity, who joins something. So you can also have participants in a game show, participants in a meeting. Participants basically refer to people or animals that take part in something. So here we have participants, 46 females between the ages of 55 and 75. So far, these are the facts. Now, going on, of the 46, 23 were told to sing for 10 minutes each day, while the other 23 were given daily doses of a placebo. Now, a placebo, another word for a placebo is a sugar pill. It's basically something that's not medicine, but the patient that you give it to thinks that it's medicine. So why would a placebo be given in this experiment, in this study? It's to control for the outcome of the experiment, to see if singing, the 23 people who are singing, if their singing actually leads to a particular outcome.
There you go. Now, at the end of the 3-month study, the participants who sang for 10 minutes a day showed lower blood pressure levels. By the way, the people taking placebo should show no change. That's the idea of using the placebo here. But the people who sing, there should be a change if singing does have an effect on you and your health. So it says here, this imaginary study, let's say the participants who sang for 10 minutes a day showed lower blood pressure levels, something that is quantifiable, something that is measurable. Now, the women in the control group who took the placebo, however, did not. They showed no changes. So, from this imaginary study, we can conclude that maybe singing and a lowered blood pressure level, that there's some correlation between the two. Now, is this the same as saying that singing will make you live longer? No, it's not, but this is how clickbait works. Impossible, crazy claims very often are made in headlines like these clickbaity type headlines. Anyways, folks, let's go ahead and take a short break, but when we come back, we'll wrap up part 1 of our article on headline problems.
Based on the information about this made-up study, can you guess why the headline is misleading?
最后第3部分我们看到动词 mislead 用来指误导，使产生错误想法，像是 I would have dressed casually, but I was misled into thinking that this was a formal party. 我本来要穿随性一点，但我被误导以为这是一个正式的派对。
So in the previous section, we were presented with the study and we have the details of this study. And this, of course, is a made-up study that is behind the headlines that we read at the top of the first section. So now the question is, based on the information about this made-up study, all of the data that we read, can you guess why the headline is misleading? So we know that there is something wrong with the headline. It's misleading. In other words, it's making people believe something that is not true. And so the question is, now we know the details about the study. Can we guess what is it about the headline that is not true, that leaves a gap in information between what's in the headline and the contents of the study?
Science doesn't lie. When it speaks specifically, and usually there are numbers involved. Okay, so yes, here this headline is definitely misleading. Why? Because it's allowing you to form a certain idea, and that idea is not going to be true to the facts, okay? This headline is going to cause you to have strange and weird ideas about life that don't make any sense, like singing makes you live longer. By the way, singing is great, and apparently in this imaginary study, singing might lead to lower blood pressure levels. Does this mean, though, that it's going to make you live longer? Not necessarily. And therein lies the misleading nature of this headline, okay? It has jumped to a conclusion that science would not have made, okay? Science would not have concluded that singing makes you live longer. Science would have said, if you do this, i.e. sing for this amount of time every day, that you can expect to possibly see a lower blood pressure level in your life after a certain period of time. Science would not say that singing is going to make you live longer. That's just not the way that science works. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't worry, don't fret. The Chinese teacher is waiting in the wings.
位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分提到网络有太多新闻消息，以至于我们几乎没有时间去阅读标题以外的资讯。很多时候我们真的只会看标题，然后不会点进去继续往下滑了。课文接着就问说But what if we actually dug deeper and read the studies behind the catchy titles? 但要是我们确实更深入探究，并且阅读这些引人注目的标题背后的研究，那会如何呢？好，这边用到的句型是 What if 加上主词加动词，这表示说要是怎么样怎么样该怎么办。What if 就跟 What would happen if 怎么样怎样的意思一样。那它后面接的子句可以用直说法，也就是时态照正常变化。那么子句也可以用假设法来表达跟事实相反的情况。举例来说 What if it rains? 要是下雨了该怎么办？那句子里面的动词 rains 它就是用直说法来表达时态照正常变化。再看一个例句What if we ran out of gas on the freeway? 要是我们在高速公路上没有油了该怎么办？好，那句子里面动词 ran 它这是过去式，它是用假设法来表达。那这个情况呢，就是要表达跟事实相反的情况。好，那我们接着看到课文第二部分有一个单字Conduct， 我们来学习它的字首字根。首先 DUC 或是 DUCT 这一类的字根，它表示引导、带领或是牵引。带有这些字根的单字呢，多半会含有经过引导而产生某一种结果的语义。好，在 conduct 这个字当中，它的字首 CON 表示一起，那么 DUCT 表示带领，合在一起这个 conduct 它就有带领指挥的意思。同学们也可以试着想把人事物带领整合在一起，从这边去联想到这个 conduct 它还有进行实施的意思，像警方要进行调查，或者是科学家要进行实验，我们都可以用这个动词来表达进行的语义。好，顺便补充几个有这一类字根的单字。第一个是 educate，教育嘛。好，它的字首 E 是来自 EX 表示向外，那么 DUC 表示引导带领，至于 ATE 是动词字尾。当我们把某个人引导向前，从他原本的思想框架中把他引领出来，这样也许就可以联想到 educate 它有教育教养的意思。好，第二个单字 induce INDUCE， 它的字首 IN 表示在什么之中，那么 DUCE 表示引导。从字首字根来看，它就会有这种 lead into 或者是 bring in 的语义。同学们可以试着想，把某事物的影响力引进什么什么当中，这样也许就可以想到 induce 它有导致、诱使、引发的语义。好，那么第三个是 deduce DEDUCE， 它的字首 DE 表示向下完全。好，那么 DUCE 表示引出。当我们把某事物抽丝剥茧，往下一层一层剥开，把它完全剥开，逐步分析探究到底，这样应该可以联想到 deduce 它有演绎推论的意思吧。好，以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Headlines in newspapers around the country announce the big story. Scroll. According to one study, most people scroll through about 90 meters of online content each day. Conduct. Scientists conducted the experiment last year and released the results last week. Participant. The participants were asked to answer questions about their daily habits. Mislead. The news article misled readers by using the politician's quote out of context.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.